You
I'm
are.
here and I'm ready.
Martin is here too. Well, we're just getting started, so we're super psyched, excited to have our Webby Mobile First Hangout. I have Martin Jensen. Is it Jansen or Jensen, Martin? Seems like he's not hearing me very well.
Jensen is fine.
Awesome. Martin Jensen, who is with Veradius, and he's actually in Amsterdam, which we'll tell us a little bit about in a second. And then Liz White, who's with People, which also oversees all the digital stuff for EW, in addition to the People Mag and People.com and all the apps that I'm sure we'll talk about. And in a second, we'll have Josh Klenert from Huffington Post, who will be jumping in and joining us. So welcome to the two of you. Soon to welcome to Josh. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I thought we. So the whole point of this was just to chat a little bit about sort of the state of mobile first, and really to sort of understand. Mobile first is a word that's being pushed around and talked about. It's certainly a big buzzword. Martin just popped back in, but really just to delve a little bit further into it and like what that actually means today, and just sort of get a sense of what's happening in mobile at your places of work. So Liz, why don't we start with you, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your role with People and sort of the digital and mostly of course the mobile products you oversee, and sort of what you guys are looking at these days.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm the general manager for both People Digital and Entertainment Weekly Digital, and so really under me comes all of the business side, strategy and development for all of our digital and mobile products. So at People we have a robust, responsive mobile site. We also have a really well-read tablet magazine app. And we also have two smartphone-based mobile apps that we just released that are subscription-based. For Entertainment Weekly, we have a newly launched responsive design site that went live late this summer, and then we have a must-list smartphone app as well as the tablet app, and really, I guess I spend a lot of my time thinking about not only the business strategy of these products, but also the content strategy, because that is increasingly becoming very interdependent. So we've seen a ton of growth in mobile across both brands, and what we're really focusing on now is how do you start to think about extracting value from a business perspective, and we're doing some cool things that I'm sure I'll talk about later on both brands to kind of help us think about that.
Awesome. Sounds great. Martin, tell us a little bit about Veradius. I think probably people in Europe and certainly in Holland have heard of it. In the US, maybe not as much. Give us a sense of what you guys are up to. It's a pretty cool product.
Yeah, it's basically what we've done is we've built a platform that allows consumers to search for products in physical stores nearby, which is a service that wasn't available in mainland Europe up until we started. We started about a year and a half ago with the company, and we launched our product at the beginning of the summer. Basically, we allow people to search for brands, for product types or specific products, and we tell them where it's in stock. So we connect the inventory systems of stores to our platform, and then we publish that information in our apps, on our website, and with third-party platforms.
So is the concept that I'm at a store and I want to see if this product is available for less somewhere else, or just that I'm somewhere and I'm interested in buying shoes close by?
Yeah, it's the latter. So let's say I just got a baby boy. I'm looking for an Electro baby phone, specific type DBX70, and I punch in that type, and it tells me which stores actually have them in stock in my neighborhood.
Oh,
so I can pick them up and use them tonight. Don't have to wait for overnight shipping or whatever.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. Well, Liz, let's get started. I guess I wanted to get a sense if you could tell us like a little bit about just how usage of your mobile products has changed in a couple of years, just to give the people who are joining and watching and some perspective, like how much of people.com traffic, or I guess I should say audience now is viewing via mobile, and what are some of the numbers that you can share there?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've really seen a huge shift in mobile consumption over the past really 2 years, I'd say. One of the stats that I think has driven a lot of our decisions at People specifically is, we've had a mobile presence for years, and really it was very similar to other content publishers, which was essentially a RSS feed of what was being produced on the desktop site with some kind of nice swipeable photos, and that was great, and that was really built around the myth that mobile is just for information snacking when you think about content. And when we dove into the numbers, what we saw was that actually over 25% of visitors that come to people.com on mobile were spending more than 5 minutes per visit, which suggests they're doing more than just snacking, right? If they're reading a couple galleries, they're hunting for maybe a style article. So that really started to frame our understanding that we had to think about our mobile content a lot differently. And so what we did about a year ago at this point was we started programming our mobile site, or thinking about our content for our mobile site as really its own channel, and programming for the unique behavior that is mobile. So we hired a dedicated mobile editor, which was a first here at Time Inc., because it couldn't be just repurposing of web content. And I think what the shape that takes is things like first thing in the morning. Sometimes you'll see a franchise, 5 things you need to know this morning, and on the desktop that might appear as 5 separate articles, but on mobile, because of the time of day, we're condensing it for you. Whereas at night, when we know that consumption is happening primarily on Wi-Fi, we're pushing more videos. We're pushing more kind of live reactions to TV programming. When Scandal's on, we can pull in tweets that are happening from, let's say, all of Kerry Washington's fans. So it's a much more dynamic reaction to the actual usage of the content. And on the audience stat, it's really kind of we've really reaped the benefits. People Mobile actually drives over 7 million monthly unique visitors at this point, wow. Which is, it's up significantly over a year ago. And we're seeing that account for close to 30% of our total audience.
Crazy, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not surprising these days, but still an amazing stat. So, and how are you? And you're literally talking in terms of the programming mobile separately. You're talking about somebody who's going to people.com on their mobile device, or somebody who's going through an app?
So this is really, I'm talking about our people who's going to People Mobile through the mobile device.
Right.
We simultaneously, which by the way, I will never recommend anyone launching a mobile website and a separate app at the same time. It's not an easy proposition, but we did at the same time relaunch our core smartphone app, which took a different turn, both from a business perspective and also as from a consumer value perspective. Again, with our app prior to our relaunch at People, it was really a really nice news and photo reader app. Right. Took advantage of some of the native functionality that allowed for some nice visual presentation. But that was pretty much it. And so we saw an opportunity, both on the business side and on the consumer side, to have our app be more of our personalization option for consumers. So when we relaunched, we gave the users the option to follow specific celebrities that they want their news from, and to get news, to have that news be not just from People, but also from the celebrities' social streams. So a really nice integration with Twitter on that product. On the business side for our app, we had been positioning it as a one-time payment, so we were charging $1.99 for the app originally. As part of the relaunch, we actually pivoted it to have it be included in our overall subscription bundle. So today, for $132 a month, $132 a year, you get access to the magazine in print form. You get access to a bundle of digital goodies, which does include the Celeb Watch app. We also sell it on its own for a $10 yearly subscription.
Interesting. I got excited. I was really excited that people were paying $132 a month. I was excited for you.
Ecstatic if people.
Yes, I was excited for you. $130 is still very good value at $130 there. I think Josh just joined us. Hi, Josh. Josh is with Huffington Post.
How you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were just getting started here. It would be great if you would tell us a little bit about what you oversee at the Huffington Post and kind of what you're working on these days.
Great. Yeah, my name is Josh Klenert, and I oversee design and user experience for the Huffington Post across all its platforms, which includes desktop web, mobile apps, and we've recently launched 2 brand extensions, HuffPost Live, our streaming video network, and Huffington Magazine, the best of Huffington Post, in a magazine format that's published for iPad. I oversee a design team that includes visual design and UX designers. Mostly our visual designers are a bit of a hybrid between UX design and visual design.
Great. And what are you? We were just talking to Liz about sort of the current state of their mobile stuff. What interesting changes have you guys seen in the way that your audience is sort of reading or going through content on mobile versus like last year or a couple of years ago? Obviously, I'm sure that there's been a big shift in size, but what other insights can you sort of share with us about what's happening at Huffington Post?
Yeah, we've been seeing a similar trend that a lot of the other news sites have seen, in that mobile is having an increased impact on traffic. We're starting to see a decent trend of mobile phone in the morning, desktop in the afternoon, and tablet in the evening. And as we start to rethink the mobile side, we're trying to keep that in mind. Also, one of the things that we do probably differently than some of the other editorial brands is we gear each platform a little bit differently, because different content does better on different platforms. So our editors will be sitting there and be focused on highlighting certain content that plays better on mobile platforms.
Right. And Liz was actually just talking about that too with people, that they have a mobile editor now who's like literally programming just for mobile. So that's it sounds like that's something happening there for both of you.
Yeah, we definitely have a mobile editor team and a mobile editing team, and it's probably one of the reasons that we probably won't be going responsive anytime in the near future, because different content plays well on different platforms, and we need to. We feel right now that it's important for us to have specific content going to specific platforms and in specific formats.
Right. And Martin, your 2 colleagues here are both, doing mobile stuff for media and edit, and you're really focused on a product that's for consumers. But I think some of the same challenges exist, and maybe sort of Josh just touched on there. I'd love to get a sense from a product standpoint how you guys think about these different platforms, and if you're really focused on a product, a responsive product that's going to work across them all, or if you're focused on developing stuff for each one independently.
Well, we've started out with developing for them each independently. We think that the context a user is in, being at home behind a computer or behind a tablet, or being out on the street with its smartphone, those are different situations, different contexts which you need to cater for. So we decided to go with 2 apps, with an iOS and an Android app, and with our website first, and really keep that separated. We do see tablets more, not really as mobile, but more as desktop usage. So we have a responsive website that is responsive up to the tablet size, but it doesn't go fully responsive to the smartphone. For that, we really have our own app. And there, initially, the choice that we needed to make: are we going for a full native app, or are we going to do something that's called a wrapper app, where you basically have web content but in a wrapper, which we did. We really believe in the lean startup philosophy, so we said, okay, let's start lightly, quickly get it out there, and then build the native apps later.
And so how do you, now looking back on those decisions, are you happy with that, or do you wish you would have gone started with just the one responsive site, or do you think?
Sorry,
it was
you dropped off a little bit, but
I was saying, looking back now.
You dropped off a little bit. I think the question was, are we happy with it?
Yes.
We are happy with the current setup now, with, for instance, taking the tablet as part of the normal website. We do feel stronger that we have to move faster with the native app. So that's something that we're developing right now. We initially thought that I think we could stay with the PhoneGap, which is what we use with the wrapper solution for a longer time, and then we do see with speed and with some functionality that it's easier to go native more quickly.
Right.
We have a similar philosophy in that we want to be everywhere people expect us to be, and the wrapping web pages in a native app helps you go fast.
Get it out the door fast.
Yeah. And also, managing a lot of different apps over different platforms can be so hard. I mean, in a previous role, I worked at eBuddy, which is a mobile messaging company, and we basically developed for every platform out there, even for Java phones, for people in emerging countries. And we had, I think we were developing for 7 platforms, and it's also a big hassle. So starting out with the wrapper app was nice, and nice to see the first traction coming up, being quick to market, and then transforming to native.
Right. And just since you guys were talking about apps a little bit, I would love to just chat a little bit about getting people to download them, which I think is still, for a lot of people, a challenge. Still one of the bigger challenges. And then, to the extent any of you are sort of using the paid model, Liz, you talked a little bit about wrapping that the paid stuff into the overall subscription, but just sort of like sort of now, 5-6 years into iTunes, App Store, if the $2 an app thing is a great idea for publishers, or if it's really just an impediment. Liz, why don't you take that and see what you let me.
Yeah, sure. So I think we've learned a lot. So we had the $2 standalone, one-time download fee product out for several years, and we saw good traction, and I think it's really a testament to the People brand and the willingness to pay on the brand. So I do understand that not every brand is in that position, but now I think our understanding about business value in the app world, I segment it into 2 areas. One is how to use. One is, I guess, the utilization of mobile apps, in our case, to drive value as part of a bundle of content assets that a subscriber can access. And this is one way that we're doing it. The idea that we understand that consumers want to experience People on all different platforms, and so we will give them a really easy way to buy that from us. And I think that the interesting thing that our subscription business allows us to do is actually to realize a lot more value when you think about an app as a loyalty play, because if you look at the lifetime value equation for subscribers, getting subscribers who are paying $100 a year to renew at a higher rate can potentially add a lot more business value than a one-time app fee.
Right.
So there's part of our portfolio, our mobile portfolio, where we're thinking about that type of monetization, and of course, the ads and various advertising experiences that go with that. The other thing that we're starting to pay a lot of attention to is more of the freemium model, and trying to understand what ways that works for content, what ways it doesn't. But then also, are there opportunities for brands like People and EW in in areas of the app world like gaming where that that can have a really high return when you think about the freemium model.
Right.
So that's how we're seeing the world right now.
Interesting. And how many is there a challenge, like if people are consuming so much more people content, during the day, at night, sort of more frequently than maybe like that once a week magazine read or twice a week magazine read, do you guys just approach the magazine now as an entirely different, like, have they already seen all the content by the time they read the magazine, or vice versa?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think from the beginning we established People.com and now People Mobile as a separate proposition from the magazine. So we understand that a typical People reader likes to lay back on a Friday night with a glass of wine and catch up on some of the more in-depth stories, whereas People.com has really become the kind of must-see during the day, and that we see that spiking during various points. And so we see it as on a time continuum a little bit, whereas the mobile content in the morning it is a little bit more snacking, but at night is where we're pushing things like video much more heavily. So it hasn't really affected the content that we're producing in the magazine. I think some of the opportunities that we have are to think about how to use the magazine to continuously promote the other ways that you can experience people.
Right. And Josh, Liz touched a little bit on the advertising proposition. For you guys, are you at a point now where you're like the advertising is literally getting sold into, the tablet experience at 6 in the evening, or is it still sort of getting pushed? Are you still selling sort of the general proposition of engaging with Huffington Post readers wherever they may be?
Well, we've got a fairly large network, so our ad sales are typically done across all our platforms, both desktop and mobile, and they're sold as packages. So, our magazine is probably a little bit different in that case because it's being sold specifically because it's a different experience. It's a different way to engage with it. Like the magazine is sort of the luscious, full page, full screen experience, and the website, has its own unique banner. So the magazine is sold a little bit differently than the website. But the website is sold across platform.
Do you guys I just don't know. Are you charging for Huffington or no? The app?
We decided to keep all our content free. So right. The website's free, the magazine's free, HuffPost Live is free. It's a collection and a repackaging of the best of Huffington Post, with new content and new design. But we decided it was best to keep it free within the brand.
Yeah, and
we've seen a really good success with it. I mean, it's one of the few 4.5-star magazine apps in the App Store. It's usually in the top 10, top 20, and it's seen a pretty good amount of downloads. But as you point out, while it's got great downloads, we want people coming back on a regular basis. I think Wired came out recently and said that their digital subscription is now 100,000. But how many people are coming back to engage with that on a daily or weekly or monthly basis? That's a giant question mark.
Right. And how do you guys how do you look at that? Do you look at like push notifications? And how do you bring people back into, because getting the app onto the device is a big deal. Getting people to open it again, as you mentioned, is it also a big deal? How do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, we've got 2 billion monthly page views on the website. The audience for iPad and then magazines and then downloading apps and issues gets smaller and smaller. So, we'll promote across all our networks, both social, both on the website, and then within the iPad with push notifications. I think you need to do all of those. So when an article appears on the website that's a part of the magazine, there's a promo box that leads you to the magazine. We have a social account for Huffington Magazine, as well as the regular verticals, and all of those promote the new issue, and then plus the basic notifications. So you need to be pushing all those levers all the time to get
Right.
people to come into it. And we've seen a nice steady trend of increased active users, and that's the number that we look at. How many people are coming back on a daily or weekly basis to engage in the magazine?
Right. Martin, tell me a little bit about the difference in how people use your product on the website versus on the mobile device. Is there a different use case there?
Yeah, there's a slightly different use case, and also a different way in which and how we present the information. What we, for instance, see is if people use Varadius from their from home, either on the desktop or on the couch or whatever. Often people really have more time to research. So it might start with a more generic product term, like a heartbeat monitor, and then go more specific. They might be looking at some other sites as well and doing some comparison at other platforms. Well, on mobile and on the street, it's really more about the immediacy. They know what they need. It could be a product type, could be a specific product, but then distance becomes way more important, and it's more like, okay, I have this one thing, and I need to know now where I can get this nearby. So we're really trying to focus on how can we detect as much of the context that a user is in, and use that in our app. And that's actually also something I really liked about what Liz was saying. For us, mobile really triggered this thinking about context. What context is the user in? And Liz, as you said, like with the mobiles, you do the snack versions in the morning and then more the videos in the evening. I think it's a great example of thinking about, okay, in which context is that user? And I think mobile really triggered that, at least in me, much more than it did before, because it's something you could do on web as well.
It's absolutely true in our case with our mobile news app. We'll deprioritize video posts that are about videos because people don't have the time or interest when they're on their phone in line at the grocery store.
Yeah. And also to quickly hit on the push notifications. Also something that we see on mobiles, we just integrated technology that if you pass a store where you've done a search and that store is actually on the list of results, then we can send you a push message that the product you're searching for is actually in the store you just passed, which obviously is a very different experience than what you would do with desktop.
Wow, how are you guys able to do that? That's crazy, in a good way crazy.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a location technology that we've.
So it's running in the back. You have location services running in the background of the app, and then okay.
Yeah,
I guess it's not that
but the nice thing is it even works if the app is closed. Then it will still trigger. So that was an important one for us.
Do people like that?
Well, it's really just in a sort of. We just released that in beta, and then the reactions so far are good. Also, immediately some questions around privacy concerns.
Yeah.
Like, do you constantly track me? No, we don't. We don't constantly track you. We just set up some geofences. If you pass into one of these geofences, you get a personalized message, and we can never see that you were there.
Right. Interesting. All right. Well, I think we're getting close to wrapping up. I have sort of one last question for everybody, I think. And basically, look, I think the thing I wanted to ask you guys is in 5 or 6 years, things have gone very, very, very fast. I can just tell you from the Webbies, we launched mobile categories the year before the iPhone came out. And you can look back at those winners that first year, noble pioneers in the space. But what happened in the next couple of years was just so significant, and I think even people are surprised. You hear all these stats about mobile usage being more than 50% on a lot of places, and how quickly people have adapted to the mobile internet in just like literally 5 years. And you guys have had to make a ton of shifts internally, I'm sure, to deal with all that change. What do we see coming in the next couple of years? Liz, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
Like, how do you think about people in EW from a mobile-first perspective in the next couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the notion of mobile first, I think one of the big learnings is that it can't be universally applied by brand or by product. Is that you really do have to evaluate whether the product that you're putting into the market is addressing a mobile behavior or a behavior that can happen on that channel. If not, there's no use in going mobile first just for the sake of doing that. And I think that was things that that was something that a lot of publishers got caught up on early on. So I think for us it's going to be about creating products that fit the need of the unique mobile behaviors that our consumers are having. I think a lot of that is going to end up being service oriented. You think about the style pages in People and how you can start to activate those potentially mobily, where I see Rihanna wearing a dress and now where can I get the dress? In addition to more loyalty-based products, which is going to continue to help drive value to our overall kind of membership that our consumers have with us.
Right. Interesting. You should talk to Martin, I guess, about where to find the Rihanna dress.
Exactly.
Josh, how about you? How are you guys envisioning both Huffington Post Live, Huffington magazine, and of course just the overall Huffington Post in the next couple of years from a mobile-first perspective?
Well, I think I think your mobile strategy is really your brand strategy, and that's largely, it sounds like, what EW and People are going down the road of. I mean, frankly, as an EW reader, I want EW, what to watch on Netflix. I want, the EW reviews that I see in the iPad app. I don't necessarily want to download a huge app, but I want to get the movie reviews and I want to buy tickets immediately. So as we talk about a mobile strategy, I think it's really a brand strategy. And Huffington Post is a brand about conversation and community and news across multiple topics. And as we develop new products that will be mobile, those are key components. So as we evolve the magazine, as we evolve HuffPost Live, and as we evolve HuffPost, the main product, we need to keep those things in mind. And as change, as they say, change is the only constant. Today we're dealing with phones, tablets, and desktop screens. Tomorrow it's going to be iWatches and iEyes and who knows. But you want to keep your core brand in mind as you go into those new platforms.
Good, great points. And Martin, as you look at the next couple of years for Veradius, how are you thinking about how people will search to find things using your app and your site?
I think it's all about lowering the thresholds for people to actually quickly get what they want. And in a lot of cases, that will be online and will be through e-commerce. In a lot of cases, if your mobile or another device can quickly tell you that it's actually available just around the corner, you'll just walk out and get it. Where I really see, in 3 to 5 years, where we'll be heading is indeed, just like Josh said, much more devices. So now we have our laptop, our tablet, our smartphone. We'll add internet TVs and the watches and the Google Glasses to it. So it's more going to be around, indeed, the brand or the value proposition. I basically talk from the value proposition. How can you make sure that all of these different devices really interplay with each other? How can the mobile enhance the experience of the magazine or of the TV experience? And how can you keep that brand and the value proposition central and deliver on each device what people expect of that device and at that moment in time and in that context that they're in?
Sounds like context and some consensus on context, which is nice. Well, I want to thank all of you. Liz, thank you so much for joining us from People, Martin from Veradius, Josh from HuffPo. Great to have you guys. I'm not bashful about saying to our watchers here, if they have mobile stuff that they think is awesome, that our deadline for the Webbies is next Friday. So don't forget that at webbywords.com. And I also want to thank our sponsor for helping us and hosting us our our hangout today, Vitamin T, longtime friends of the Webbies. Thanks to Vitamin T. Great talking to you all. I will see you online, I guess.
Sounds great.
So thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.